welcome to another 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. We are still in the late night editions here. God, hopefully for not too much longer. Contractors, I don't get the whole world. I'm way too organized and have things to be done specifically to understand that world. So guys, today I want to talk to you about something that's starting to become that season in the auto industry, the trade show season. And I'd like to ask, why do you still go? Or do you? Or have you? I'm someone who's been involved in the trade show scene, obviously pretty heavily since we started our company back in 2013. And before that, lightly as a dealer, regional events, things like that. Did a little bit in my consulting roles, etc. And have never really understood the whole premise, because you hear a lot about how these breakout sessions are supposed to be, selling free, etc. And what people have basically done is they've masked education in selling whatever it is that they are, right? And so many times at the conferences, people will come to me all the time and say, Sean, people just, selling. Can we just get some education? And so that's got me thinking a lot about it. And so we're sort of people who've seen and been to most of the shows in the industry. And what I'm finding to be successful in my world and in people that I run with is in these smaller regional events, right? So you look at the Game Changer going on up in Canada, Toronto there with Jason Harris. See, the thing about that is this dude curates the event by handpicking the speakers, calling and inviting them himself, right? He makes it a pretty quaint room, 40, 50 folks. He involves a little something networking session afterwards. In his case, it's a ball game. And it really resonates with someone like me because he says to you, look, I want you to speak, and here's the general area I want you to speak about because I think you're the pro in that area. And as someone who speaks a lot, and at any chance I get, because I do love to educate, I'm actually not selling anything. My whole goal is to make this business better than I found it. It's always been my goal. So I'm out here trying to truly do it. And so he says, this is what we want you to do, this is how you want it. And you accept that. You say, yeah, I'm going to do it, man. Let me come up with a cool presentation, which we've done. And that's what we're going to bring to him. So he's on the right track. As far as I'm concerned, that I think is the future of these events. You've got Rockstar. They do it a little bit differently. Again, I appreciate the single stage, what Matt does. I think all these guys could do a better job of really, really curating the content. It's something my business partner has said since, it feels like 2013 when we were in Vegas the first time. It's just like, dude, why isn't it telling a story? Why isn't this a collaboration for the people in the room? And I tend to think that the problem with breakouts, especially when there's like fucking 10 at one time, it makes it extremely difficult to be able to pick and choose. Now people always ask me how I get to so many sessions because I don't spend much time in sessions. I've been doing this long enough to know what I'm listening to, and if it's genuine and sounds like it's education, I'll stick around. I'm not in rooms more than 2 minutes. I stand in the back of the room, I listen. As soon as things check out or they start spouting nonsense or selling their BS, I roll. I can't handle it. I'm out of there. So that's my approach to those bigger events. The bigger events it's tough, man. They're in it to make money, so it's all about the vendors. And if they're not in it to make money, some of the regional events want you to pay to be a part of them. Like, paying to speak is some real bullshit. I don't know whose idea that was, but it actually goes the other way around. If you're great at speaking, you're paid to speak, which is the experience that I've had recently. And that's forget the money. It's nothing to do with that. It's about the actual way that goes down. Because you're being paid, it is hand selected. It is based on certain criteria. So it's a different game, right? And then you have to hear all the litany of excuses. Trust me, my phone blows up during these time of year. People, are you going to the show? And now that we're no longer attending the big trade shows, people, oh, wait, why? What's going on? How can you survive? Like, dude, please. These shows have never done anything for me outside of vendor networking, which frankly, I can do on LinkedIn, at this case, on my phone. And most vendors know who I am, or I know who most vendors are because that's my business. So if that's the only real value for me, I've never made a deal at these shows. I've made a deal on the phone at these shows with people I've been working from previous. Had nothing to do with that show. That's not a thing. So for us, it doesn't really net out, because if you want to attend these events but you don't want to buy a booth and you can't speak, then you're on the hook for like $1,500 a head. Now it's 3Gs. Now it's airfare. Now it's what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. This doesn't pencil for us, and so we're no longer doing it. So how can you not go? Why would you not go? And for us, it's because, like I said, the regional events offer an opportunity to be in a smaller environment. Look at IDS out in Denver. My boy Arnold and Tim Jackson, what they do out there, right? This is some cool stuff. It was a cool little event. There were like 2 breakouts or 3 at a time. It was a smaller audience, and people really engaged, and you were around them for multiple days. The hotel was connected. It was really, really smoothly done. I appreciate the smaller regional events. I'm really glad you're doing what you're doing. Just try to work harder on curating the content, making it more about your users. Who picks these things, right? Okay, so people are like, Sean, sour grapes. You're not going to Digital Dealer because you didn't get chosen to speak. Totally true. Totally true. What sour grapes me is the bullshit excuse people give you. They're like, oh, you weren't chosen because you spoke at our last event. Dude, there are people who are going to have multiple sessions at these things for like the 4th year in a row talking about books from the 80s. Like, what do you mean? Don't give me a bullshit excuse. Just simply say to me, you don't play the politics, or you don't pay enough, or whatever it is. Let's be honest. And if it's you telling me that there's too many people who submitted for that topic, that's weak ass. That's weak ass, because if speakers have the ability, as I know I do, you can tell me, Sean, you need to switch up your presentation. I say to you, no problem. What do you got? What do you need me to do? I get it done in 24 hours. Most people can't. So I get it. Most people are single track when they go into a presentation. My presentations don't work that way. So why not bring it to this platform? You know, the podcast actually reaches far more people on a weekly basis than I could ever reach at a trade show. So again, I ask you, why do you go? What do you hope to gain? When you send your people, what do they come back with? Is there a list that we're talking about here? Is there education they must come back with? They have to come back with one great idea? What happens when you send these people to these shows? Okay? You can see I get a little passionate about it because it's important to me as someone trying to educate this industry that we make sure that we're not just getting stuck in ruts to do things we've been doing because that's what we do. Okay? Thank you guys so much for your time as always. Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, we're there. All over the podcast networks on the audio-only side as well. We love you checking out the video on YouTube. And as always, thank you so much for engaging, and we'll see you again next week.